the king thinks he's gonna curse. The king thinks Balaam is gonna do the curse, and then he goes and he does a blessing, and then he's like, what are you doing? I'm paying you to curse. I said I was gonna honor you if you curse them, but and then Balaam is like, I can't. I have to follow God. I can't just curse them. And then this is what's interesting. And then Balak says, okay, let's go somewhere else. Go to another vantage point or another perspective. So he goes somewhere else, and then he looks at Israel, some other mountaintop or something. And then it's like, from this perspective, maybe you can curse them. If you look at them from this other perspective, maybe now you'll be able to curse them. Okay, this is actually very important because this is kind of what magic is about. Okay, it's like you create a narrative. Can I impose my narrative upon this thing? If I can, then I can curse them. Like if you would look at him in a certain way, a different way maybe, then maybe he'd be able to curse them. But if you look at it in the other way, he wasn't able to. So this is what the king is doing to Balaam. He's like making him look at it from different perspectives. Okay, this is like the wheel of perspectives. When it says the wheel with many eyes in it, that's what it means. It means like you can see the world through different ideas. Okay, and then when you look at it in one perspective, some things are good, some things are bad, and then when you change your perspective, well, I mean, this is not easy to understand. I mean, if you look at let's say Jesus does it really. He says, like, let's say Jesus says you have to be poor, right? I mean, this is a very different perspective than what we're used to. It's a weird perspective when we think about it. I mean, it's like other people do this too. I mean, communists do it. They say, "Oh, this guy's rich," but if you look at it from a communist perspective, you look at the rich guy and he's bad. He becomes bad all of a sudden. If you look at it from a capitalist perspective, you look at this business guy who's rich, you'll see him as good. Oh, this guy's good. He's successful. Success is good in this perspective. But then you look at it in another one. Let's say you look at it in an ecological perspective, or I'm just giving examples here. Then it's like, oh, he's rich, but he destroys the environment. Now he's bad. So you see, that's what I mean by you can curse if you change your perspective. Maybe you couldn't in this perspective. Like from a capitalist perspective, I can't curse this businessman because he's successful. I have to say he's good. But I'll look at it from another perspective. Now maybe I'll be able to see this guy as the bad guy. You see? So that's what's happening in this story here. He's like trying to say, look at him from different perspectives, and then you'll be able to curse them, right? So he goes and looks at them from different perspectives, and in this case, he's not able to curse them because the idea is, this is also generally an important pattern. It's like there's a wheel and there's a space, like a square or a mountain or something like that, something stable, and then there's a wheel. Like the wheel represents basically the idea that you have different principles, but they're not ruled by a single principle that rules all of them. Okay, so there's different perspective that you can adopt on the wheel that makes you see things differently. But there's not we don't know a single perspective that rules above all of these perspectives. So you see, you have opposites. So this is why it's a wheel too, because usually what happens is there's competition between these perspectives. Okay, so one of them rules the other for a while, and then this perspective dominates, and then eventually passes, and then because we start seeing the bad sides of this perspective too, and then the other perspective takes the top, and then now we're going to be this is just basic stuff here. It's like ideologies that are fighting, right? So this is what it means, the wheel with many eyes. The eyes are ideas, perspectives, like ideologies. Yeah, it's like many different ideologies that you can look at the world through. These are in competition. They're in competition, so that's why it's a wheel. It keeps changing. So, well, now we become communist. Oh, now we become capitalist. Oh, now we become whatever, fascist, whatever. Some ideology. It changes because none of the ideologies is ultimately able to subsume the others. So this is what it means, the wheel. It's the wheel of change too. It's the wheel of time. Like the stars. It's the zodiac. Like you have the stars. The stars represent lights. They represent perspectives. So the whole zodiac thing. That's what it is too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
How how is this connected to the rainbow or the mirror? This multiplicity of perspectives.